Pittsburgh's 250th anniversary celebration is drawing to a close, but there are still opportunities to take part and to preserve the memories. In fact, if you're looking for a holiday gift idea, what about a book produced for the anniversary? The Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh has one for you, published jointly with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Barbara Mistick is president and director of the library, and welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you, Bill. It's good to be here.
Yeah, well, tell me about this. This actually, it's a new book, but it's kind of an old book at the same time.
Yeah, it's our contribution for the 250th anniversary. It's an update on the Pittsburgh album, which was published first in 1959. But this one takes us from 1758 up to 2008.
Okay, so you're picking up the last 50 years, basically, since the bicentennial.
50-year update.
That makes sense. And you did this with the Post-Gazette?
Yes, we did. It's based on actually the Pittsburgh Photographic Library, which we maintain at the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh, and a lot of file photographs from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. So it's really a collaboration between the two of us.
Really, and the Pittsburgh Photographic Library, for people who aren't that familiar with it, that also is kind of grounded in what, the first Renaissance of Pittsburgh?
Absolutely was. It was actually an Allegheny Conference on Community Development initiative. It was a way, you know, it was the beginning of photojournalist magazines, and it was really a way for Pittsburgh to show where it had been and what it was becoming at the time. So the conference actually supported Roy Stryker, who was a pretty well-known photographer at the time. He was working then, I think, for Sunoco in New Jersey, and we got him to come here to Pittsburgh. And over about a 5, 6, 7-year period, he hired a whole range of photographers, people like Charles Teeny Harris and Luke Swank and Esther Bubley and you know, a lot of wonderful photographers to document Pittsburgh and Pittsburghers, so that you saw what people were doing, how they were living, you saw the economic part of the city, the political part. It was really a great way to showcase Pittsburgh. At
a time of great change, but then the changes have really continued over the last 50 years. Did you really lean on the Post-Gazette archives for that part of the story?
Well, we did. You know, I think the Pittsburgh Photographic Library went up through the 60s, but the Post-Gazette really had a lot of file photographs. And then at the for this particular year, for the 250th anniversary, we had a great high school photo contest. So it's really a great way to look at who the next photographers might be of the next generation. And we have 2 of the award winners, 2 photographs from students from Winchester Thurston are at the end of this book. And it's really a nice way to sort of cap off the way Pittsburgh looks now.
That's right. One of those is the view from I think it's Mount Washington, right?
Yes.
With was it Guyasuta and is it George Washington in
yes.
the image? That
yes.
are kind of looking down and at what Washington, I guess, might have seen from Mount Washington. Any favorites of yours in the book that really brought back memories or really were sort of representative of the region?
Well, I really like the photo on the cover because I grew up in the South Hills, Bill, and the Liberty Bridge was always the gateway for me to the city of Pittsburgh. And so, you know, having the Liberty Tubes and the Liberty Bridge on the cover of the book sort of reminds me of the city I love. And there's another great photo in here, I think, of the Oyster Bar.
Oh, okay. In Market Square, right?
Square,
still there, right?
Which was Diamond Square, I think, at the time. And it was a place that my grandfather loved to frequent. And so I remember being a young girl waiting for him outside of the Oyster Bar, and it took me several years to realize it was probably a shot in a beer. That
he was not there for the sandwiches.
I don't think so.
That's amazing. Well, and that's what's so cool about the book, because it really is the whole sweep. I mean, you have some of the standard sort of here's the big skyline pictures, but there's also a lot about life in Pittsburgh over this whole sweep of time.
Yeah, it's a great photo in here of Richard King Mellon, who really, you know, amongst the folks in Pittsburgh that changed the skyline, he really had a great contributory effect. You know, pictures of both Mellon Square downtown, which is being regarded across the nation today as one of the great public spaces. You know, little pocket parks are back in favor now, and this was a small park in the middle of an urban setting way before its time. He was also the major funder of the Pittsburgh Photographic Library, so he's left us a great legacy, and it's wonderful to see portions of that in this book.
Yeah, and the fun to see thousands of people crowded into Market Square when it opened up 50 years or so ago. Gets more contemporary. You get to see a little more of the sports activity and some of the I guess, the more recent history of Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. There's the building of the Civic Arena, and a lot of debate about what it should have been called at the time.
Huh.
Imagine that.
Really? Can people debate about things like that they used to? Yeah.
So, and then I think the other great thing is just to look back, and everybody will have different memories. So if you look through the photographs, things like the Ferris wheel, which really first came from Pittsburgh, great legacies we've left the nation. The beginning of bingo, which started here in Pittsburgh, sort of
It's not an encyclopedia, though, although it's 250 years of images. Is that by design?
Oh, absolutely. I think what we wanted it to be is a kind of memento of the 250th anniversary, something that was very approachable, that you could pick up and look through, give it as a gift at the holiday time this year, or just keep it as a memory of where Pittsburgh's been, starting with the point at the very beginning and looking at where we are today.
Well, people, wonderful images in the book, and obviously a great thing to pick up for the holidays if you're looking for that gift or a stocking stuffer or whatever else. But actually, the photographic library at the library is a remarkable resource. I remember my reporting days. I used to dig around there to find the images that I might need for a story about that. It's really a treasure in and of itself for the region.
Absolutely, and it started with Roy Stryker's original photographs, about 18,000 of them. But today we have about 50,000 images in the Pittsburgh Photographic Library. So it really does give you this historical sense of the community, whether it's if you want to come look up the house that you are living in today and what it looked like when it was first built, or representations of our industrial history, the Dorothy Six and all the steel mills along the rivers. If you want to look at the healthcare industry, the change that's had in our region. So it is a great representation, and I think it tells you that the written word's certainly important, and we like that, but the visual image, that picture tells 1,000 stories, or, a picture's worth 1,000 words. It's really true, and I think we see that in the photographic library.
All right, congrats to the library and to the Post-Gazette for making this a lot more available for the 250th. Thanks so much, Bob.
Thank you, Bill.
And we'll be back in a minute with a little dollars and cents. Stay with us.